Welcome, everyone. Thank you for coming out tonight. This is the meeting of the Senior Center Site Selection and Building Committee. I have an announcement to read as we begin this open session. This meeting will be held in person at the location provided on this notice. Members of the public are welcome to attend this in-person meeting. Please note that while an option for remote attendance and/or participation via Zoom is being provided as a courtesy to the public, the meeting will not be suspended or terminated if technological problems interrupt the virtual broadcast unless otherwise required by law. Members of the public with a particular interest in a specific item on this agenda should make plans for in-person versus virtual attendance accordingly. This meeting will be live on Zoom. The public may access the proceedings by joining Zoom meeting ID 852-5823-2163 or by calling 929-205-6099. For additional information about remote participation, please contact Carly Antonellis, Assistant Town Manager at atm@ayer.ma.us or 978-772-8220 extension 100 prior to the meeting. All right, so call the meeting to order at 6:02 p.m. All right. The first thing on our agenda tonight is a review and approval of the previous meeting minutes from November 16th, 2023. Yep.
Or I think I had to approve the agenda.
Oh, yes. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as?
I so.
Okay, a second. Great. All in favor?
Aye.
Chair says aye. Okay, approved. Thank you. All right, so the second item is review and approval of the previous meeting minutes from November 16th.
Make a motion to approve the minutes from the November 16, 2023 as written and provided. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And Chair says aye. Great. All right, so that brings us to investigation of potential town-owned properties for a senior center. And for that, we've got Dan Van Skelwick from the DPW to present, and also a huge public thank you to Matt for his work on this as well.
Yeah, so
You'll want to pull those up now?
yeah, you can pull them up, Carly. So I didn't think we'd get this now, but Matt worked some magic, some 18-hour days. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, he was able to get some time and put together these plans of the town-owned parcels in town. So the first map is kind of just an overall view of the entire town, with leaders going to each property. This is meant to be printed on a 24/36, so you can't read it.
Actually, before you get started, can I just lay it? I should have said first. The goal for this part of the discussion is to identify the town-owned properties. Many of them will be eliminated right off the bat for a variety of reasons, but just to go through the processes of identifying all of them and not to pick a site tonight, but to review the sites that there are and to consider which ones we might want to bring back for our next meeting to discuss in more detail. So sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so Matt put this together using GIS. And so, as I mentioned, the first page is kind of an overview of the entire town with all the town-owned land with leaders. It's kind of difficult to read, but the subsequent pages are zoomed into each one of these sites to show the site and the details that we put on there, which GIS has many capabilities. The details we put on there include the DPW utilities, sewer, drain, water, any easements, contour lines that are 1 foot, so you can get an idea of grade, and wetland areas through the Mass GIS wetlands. So it's not technically flagged wetlands, but it's identified in Mass GIS. So those are the initial layers we put on there and just kind of identified all the sites. You can go wild with GIS and start putting on many layers, such as natural heritage, endangered species layers, ACE, all the environmental type layers, and there's many others. But I think for tonight, for the start, it's kind of good to just see. Here's the initial sites, or all the sites that are town owned, and just kind of with these generic features shown on there, so. If there's anything else to add to that, Matt, but I think that's kind of summarizes, what was done. In order to provide this for the committee to look at and review. So it's got everything on there, so you'll have, the police station is on here, it's town-owned land, so, you know, like you said, it's every single town-owned property.
You said the topography was shown on there?
Yeah, it is, it's kind of hard to see in the printout, but it is there, it's in orange, yeah.
Oh.
Well, we can also,
Either way.
you know, go, I mean, like I said, I think a lot of these are just based on the size alone.
Yeah.
Or any other restrictions that may be on them, you know, will be
Yeah.
eliminated, but we could certainly bring up individual ones, in more detail.
Yeah, so, right, so we did provide a table with this as well, Matt provided that. And it does have the acreage of each site, so, you know, right there, we know we need what, 1.5 to 2 acres, I
Mhm.
believe. So anything below that, you would automatically want to exclude. And then there are some comments here, if, you know, the sites, the police station, parcel 1917. The waste, you know, Sandy Pond Beach, 2220, so we got everything.
Nice piece of work. Thank you.
Thank
you.
Yes, this is wonderful. So would the committee like to go through that list, or would you guys like to review it and come back with specific questions? Is there, or do,
Well, I'm sorry, Madam Chair, if there are some that now that we could eliminate either due to size or due to the fact that they are in other use that would not be able to be moved,
Mhm,
I'm assuming the fire department has no particular interest in moving the fire station.
right,
So, nor the police for that matter, so, couldn't we first just go through the list and first take off all those that wouldn't be moved, and second, eliminate those that are smaller than an acre?
I think that seems reasonable.
You want to, you're gonna read it?
Yep, yeah, I think
Yeah,
both of you together.
yeah, you want, okay.
Yep.
I mean, you want to just go down the list, starting from the beginning, so 0 Groton School Road, the first one, parcel 3-27. So that's a DPW sewer pump station, it's less than half, it's half an acre, so I'd say right there, we already know,
Mhm.
no. The second site, and these are in order on this, your 11/17 map set. Parcel 8-16, 0 Littleton Road. That's 15.22 acres. And I know a little bit more about this site. It's actually it's Ayer DPW Water Division is what the ownership is listed as, and it's actually where we're looking to put our new well source. But other than that, it doesn't meet the 1.5 to 2 acres. It is landlocked. I mean, just meeting the size it meets, and there, it is undeveloped, but it's got a lot of wetlands. So I don't know if we want
But
to,
it's
to me, it's already.
it's earmarked for the new well,
Yeah.
the town well, right?
Yeah, so I would
to me-
say it's.
Does it end up being Article 97 because it's protected by the water?
I don't know if that one's Article 97 yet, because it's not developed. It is kind of their water division though, when you look at the ownership.
It's pretty,
So,
pretty wetlands and stuff, and
yeah,
impossible to get to. Scratch it out?
yeah.
Okay.
Next one, parcel 12-59.
And this is the part of the discussion that everyone should type up if one person says scratch, but another person doesn't, please just speak up as we go through, yeah.
Yeah, Carly, yep, that one.
Not 15.
12-59, 0 rear Victor Drive, 3.61 acres.
Where is it? I mean, just offhand, where is it?
Rosewood Avenue, it's off of Groton School Road, northwestern portion of town. It's the Rosewood Avenue neighborhood is kind of a long dead end. There's a Mark Street.
Yeah.
Vernon, yeah.
I got a question, this chair,
Mhm.
to Dan.
Is there any way of knowing that, then which ones of these are already protected under conservation? You know, we've got the water department, and we've got also the conservation lands protected, you can't use. You know, this looks to me like it might have been part of that development, might have been conservation piece.
I don't think we included that information yet, right? Yeah, we don't have that information on these maps. It's definitely something we can get. But at this time, we don't have it there.
But it looks like there's substantial wetlands there, maybe half of it or so. Is that?
It's a brook to it.
It's like water.
Yeah, there is a culvert on Victor Drive at the kind of near where Mark Lane is at the corner there. And you can kind of see the stream go over. So there is some water potentially as a challenge, but.
But for right now, it's still an option.
I mean, it seems to me like we could leave it on the list
I would-
pending more
Further
information.
investigation.
Yeah, further
As a
investigation.
conservative, yeah, just leave it for now, conservative.
Yep, Madam Chair,
Yes.
what I would suggest tonight for sure is, let's just get rid of the parcels that we know for sure are not.
Okay.
Yeah.
that's- Yep.
And then we can dig into them further as we go
And then
on.
bring them back, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Alright. Next one. 13-3.
No.
No, DPW transfer station and municipal landfill. I would say that's a no.
That's a.
Yeah.
Alright, yeah. I like the swap. Okay. 14-3.
That's.
Yeah, Ken, you are right. So this is conservation, under conservation restriction. This land here, even though it's not shown on here, I know that. I don't think we,
And there's no way to, no, I'm sorry, Madam Chair, a conservation restriction means that there would be no way to override it, circumvent it.
Correct. Set aside.
okay, all right, 15-2.
Nothing back there but water.
Yeah, it's landlocked too. Well, that's water department land, that is 97.
I think you might be right. It's not shown on here, so I don't know, I'm thinking maybe we just
Yeah, that's.
leave it, think it's scratch. I was gonna say leave it for now, just
No, that's
we'll
out,
just exit out.
that's out. 15.
Out, okay.
Well, I'm saying it's out, because
Yeah, I looked down there, so.
I have to know.
But I think that's water department.
It is the one side.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I know that because I'm working on Stratton Hill right next to it,
okay.
with the planning group,
yeah.
So is that an F?
that's it,
Okay. Two here, 16-68, 16-69. Looks like they're too small among other things. They are steep grades there. I know there's a swale, the drainage discharges, so I would exclude these, but the others.
Where is this stand?
This is Mulberry Circle, it's our place to town. It's Westford Road across from Catania, Mulberry Circle. So you can see kind of on the 1669, there's two red crosses. Those are actually our booster pump station, the water booster pump that boosts the pressure up to the top of Mulberry Circle. And on the southern side, 16-68, that's a pretty steep, and there's a swale, a drainage down at the bottom. And also a sewer easement, you can see the sewer crossing through.
Yeah, and I can barely make out the contour lines on that, but I can see that they're very close together.
Yeah,
it's pretty far out, the east side of town as well.
So is
So
that
do
an
we
X?
want that an X or leave it till next time?
Too small, I
I
thought.
think it's too small.
Yeah, it really doesn't need the, okay.
Getting good geography, doesn't.
Okay, 17-5, 6, and 7. So this is off of That's Nemco Way, very end of Nemco Way, Wagon Road. This is water department property. This is where the spec pond treatment plant is. You can tell it's significantly wetlands. So that should be an X,
Yes.
water
Yeah.
department.
Well, there is some land there that's not wetlands.
Would that be land then that's protected as,
Doesn't look like you can get through those lots, 1 and 5 to get to the land, privately owned land.
Well,
The upland,
Wagon Road.
yeah.
Madam Chair, I would
yes,
just to point out that we have constant complaints from that neighborhood because the freight train stops there and you can't get through. And the condition of the side access road is often not the greatest. So I personally, I would X this.
Okay.
Yeah.
and thank you, that's great input. Good.
Okay. Next. So 17, 11, and 13, these are just north of where we were. And I don't believe these are water department, they are town owned, but it's pretty much all wetlands.
Unless it's a floating senior center, I don't think it'll work
Basically,
here.
the other side of the same railroad, so to the middle of it. Exactly. Yes,
Right.
Okay,
that's,
X those. 18-4. So this is a landlocked parcel. We're off of Fitchburg Road. We're close to Shop and Save. See number 22. That's the Shop and Save. Number 18 is the motel. So it's too small. It would probably need. It would need obviously more area in a different way.
Is that's the Janiskevich property that is.
That's correct.
Yeah. It was in the back of the Janiskevich property.
And that's the railroad line or the spur.
Yeah, the old line.
Yeah.
With Max's property on the other side of the tracks.
Yes, I think we have to eliminate that one.
Yeah.
Size
I can
and
get to it anyway.
access.
19-1. This is also nearby. We're across the street now on Fitchburg Road. Just north of Tiny's, there's a 0.26 acre parcel, too small. Next one, 1917 is the police station.
It's too small anyway.
Yeah. Here, what's the-
I'm sure they wouldn't mind having a tube station form again.
Okay, next up, parcel 19-24, we're on Park Street, in between Bishop Road and I believe it would be Groton Street and Brook Street. 1.68 acres.
Yeah, so I mean, I feel like this one meets the basic requirements.
Yeah.
Not that we would necessarily choose it, but I think we're just trying to
Yep.
eliminate things that definitely don't work, so just leave that one on the list for tonight.
The rate we're going will be the only one on. the list.
The other, Madam Chair, that's on an extreme slope.
Okay.
Looking for.
Okay.
Mhm. Next parcel.
So we're still gonna leave it as like review again. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Keep that
Yeah,
one.
I mean, I think we're taking our first cut at things tonight.
Yeah, low hanging, yep. Next one is parcel 20-1, 55 acres. This is the high school and elementary school.
So does that encompass? Hold on.
Goes over to the, I'm sorry.
That go over to the transfer station? That property across from the transfer station, who owns that?
That's the trucking company?
No, across the street. You're driving out the transfer station.
This is
You
right
run- You run right into that. one.
That's the
Across
school
the street.
district lot.
Yeah,
That's the parcel.
that's where that drainage decision is, got to see a D on it there.
Yeah, yeah.
But the detention basin.
Basin, yes.
I think.
So,
this
All
might
this
be-
other property.
I think under our criteria, you keep
We
this
need
right
to
Yeah.
now.
keep this one.
Yep.
My idea on this one, if I may, was saying, on the same side of the street, Chris, there's a flat spot up in there,
Mhm.
across from the trucking company.
Yep,
Kind
yeah,
of a parking area for the rail trail,
yep.
but not rail trail, the conservation trails.
There's a driveway already there.
And there's a little
Block
curved
up.
driveway there.
The
with
school's got some sort of a,
the-
almost across from the, transfer station. They used to have some sort of a rope course back there that was set up. They haven't used in years. I mentioned the site to Robert a long time ago.
This corner.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna circle it.
And this is town-owned property or school district owned?
Town owned.
It's
And it's
tenant, it's
leased, and
leased, it's
to the
leased
school
to the school
district,
district. Yeah. I think just based on tonight, we leave it on the list and then we come back and discuss the particulars of it, yeah. All right.
All right, the next page actually has two parcels. This is located close to the Sandy Pond Beach, the intersection of Snake Hill, Sandy Pond Road, you see there, and you can see the beach. Those off of Old Sandy Pond Road, and both parcels are pretty small, 2116 and 20-135 of the parcel. X,
Beautiful.
28-135 is further down the table. Great. Next one is 21-46. This is off of Oak Ridge Drive. It's toward the Groton Harbor Road end of Oak Ridge Drive.
This is fine.
Is this one's conservation?
It is, yeah.
I think it is. So just knowing that, it would be an X. If it's
Okay.
2146. Beach. Yeah, 2120 is the beach, or sorry, 2220.
It's small.
You won't call it being, it's just.
Yeah. 25-23, this is out at the DPW, the wastewater treatment plants on this parcel, but we have actually, yeah, you can see the wastewater treatment plant, some of the utilities. For the western portion of this, there's the sludge landfill. It's I can't steer. And then in the northern, like northeast portion of the parcel is our brush dump. So there's a few things out there, but there is a good wooded area too, so. I think under the criteria here.
I think,
Keep
yeah,
it.
we have it stays based on tonight's criteria.
Twenty-six. Where are we? DPW. 26, oh, okay, and 2610.
It's 26. It's too small.
Uh,
I don't have, we don't have a picture. We don't have a picture of it, but it's less than a quarter inch.
Oh, it's
that little
probably
block.
that little block where the
yeah.
DPW admin building is, right, the main entrance to DPW. Yeah,
Oh, I'm sorry, okay. Yeah.
so they're both on here. So this is, again, this is adjacent to the parcel we were looking at where the wastewater treatment plant is. Right now, DPW operations. But, there could be room, so I would think you keep it. Okay, we on 2620. So 2620, what else is on here? 2627. 2631. I'm sorry, I was not going on
It's
here.
a parking lot, fire station. Downtown parking.
So anyways, yeah, looking at this plan, I think everyone's familiar with downtown. We have the fire station, the parking, garage, town hall, Depot Square, and then there's the parking area at 0 Park Street, Mill. And another use or too small.
Yeah,
Mhm.
And Zero West Main is Must be some-
26-31.
Pocket forest. I don't think that's on this map.
Oh, it's on the next map. We'll get it on the next one. 31 there.
No, it's not, that's, I'm sorry, but, oh, there were, I'm looking at the 3.60 acres on 0 West Main.
Yeah, it's 2631, the next page.
Yeah, it's on the next page.
Looks like it's all water.
26-31.
Looks like it should be East Main. 2631.
So, yeah, Carly has it up on the screen. That's on West Main Street. It's west of the fire station, across from DPW.
Oh,
It's
okay.
It's all wetland.
yeah, it's pretty much all wetlands.
That's all.
There's a couple
That's
of
wetland.
sort of access roads to DPW which aren't.
Oh, that's this guy. Okay. Yeah, that's. Oh.
So 26-31 out,
Mhm.
and on the previous page, we had all of those out. Trying to get those 350, 357. Okay. Now we're over near the Main Street Bridge and the library. And so there's 3 parcels here that are all utilized by the library. 27, 112, 113, and 114. And then there's 0.44 acres, 26 to 86, that's the pocket forest site. So these are,
So
no,
the library parking is that one lot, that one parking lot is 2 different parcels.
yeah,
Three parcels there. Oh, 3 lots.
And the building itself is on 27-114.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, it looks like it overlaps. Maybe that's just a shadow.
No.
We're gonna scratch the library office and put consensus or.
I think so.
that would,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I think all of
It's
those.
already in use.
We don't want to fight
Okay,
it.
you can put a skyscraper on it, so it's-
Yeah.
And you said the 26,286, which is across the road from that library, that's a pocket forest?
Yeah, so that's the current pocket forest, it's, and it's 0.44 acres.
Yeah, it's not.
That's the one that's down the embankment from the access to the bridge.
Yes. Okay, we're on parcel 27-40. 3 acres off of Cambridge Street.
This one I think is pretty steep as well, but given that we left the other one on the long narrow one, I think this one technically meets the criteria.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, just to inform Madam Chair and inform that committee, that's not 3 acres, it's like 1.7 acres. It says 3 acres on the GIS, but it's incorrect. Only like 1.7, I measured it up. You can tell how small it is, it's, 3 acres would be a lot. Those lots just above it are about half an acre each, roughly, something like that.
Okay, we can check on that.
Just have to
Yep.
measure that, that's all. But we're gonna keep it there for review.
Where is that?
Oh, it's off of Cambridge Street, north of Central Ave. You're kind of, where Central Ave Compassionate Care is down the street here. You're kind of up the hill from there.
See the building right straight above it, there's a building that says 15 on it,
Yeah.
that's in the Silver, what we call.
Board of Health.
It's,
The old community hospital.
the old hospital. All wooded.
Okay, parcel 27-137. So this is, American Superconductor is number 14. You can see down in the bottom right corner of the page. Just to give you a point of reference where this is located.
Too small.
Yeah. The next one, 28-66, that's the Central Ave pump station. Too small, and that is Article 97. We learned
66.
Okay, 32-1, 32-35, and 32-42. Where are we? We're over on West Main Street near the bridge that goes above the railroad tracks.
And as you're,
That's my back.
This is down behind Dave.
Yes,
There you go.
I wanna buy that little corner right there. It's,
Yeah, exactly.
right around the wetland, right in the horn, because that's my yard. I wanna buy that so I can.
It'd be nice to have a senior center next.
I was gonna say, yeah, maybe you
Yeah,
want
it's
to
all-
see your
the
center.
problem
back
is
there.
it's all wetland all around it. You couldn't put the,
Flood zone too.
Right.
that's still
You
in.
know what, 147 Dave?
Yeah.
What I thought.
yeah, that's me.
I mean,
I think we should revive Dave.
Yeah, I agree.
Sure. The price is right. It's for sale. It's 3.25 acres.
I think you're gonna have to recuse yourself from those comments.
Oh, yeah.
Well, no, you wouldn't be negotiating with me. You'd be negotiating with my wife and daughter. I don't have any control over that.
So 32-1 is gonna be out. It's all wetlands and-
Yeah, I mean, the only accessible, well, I mean, there really isn't any access, right? Because this is railroad tracks on the
There's
bottom.
no front.
Just by train, you must come to the senior center by train. Yeah, so let's eliminate that one.
Can I just keep going here?
So there's two other pieces here.
35 was too small.
Yeah.
Yeah, 35 too small, 42 would be too small as well.
Something interesting here, but it's not part of this meeting, but see 32-35, it's number says number 167. There's another 163 to its right. That's not the town, that little triangle.
I can't look it up right now, but I wouldn't, yeah, Matt pulled up all the town owns, not the town, yeah.
It's weird.
I know that is odd.
And the parcel across the street, 3242. I want to keep that in there.
Okay.
But it's only an acre.
I know, but this other potential.
Oh,
They looked at it, they don't, it's new to this group.
I see.
Okay.
Sounds right.
And that was 32-42.
If anybody doesn't have, if anybody has an objection, just keep it in.
That's right near where I think Wu Yang, the Korean restaurant is.
Oh, okay.
Just to the left of it, I think.
It is sloped and it's got a big
Yeah.
hole in it that can be filled.
Okay. All right.
Okay, next page, 33-24, 34-17, and 34-22. All off the table.
Oh, geez, yes.
Next page, 34-76.
Now, what was the issue with that?
It's already.
That's currently part of site
Okay, yeah.
and the housing authority.
What would be the new use center?
Doing Broad Street.
So we're on 34-76. We're at the intersection, sort of close to the Rotary, East Main Street, Harvard Road.
18.
You could-
3476. Oh, that's right in the middle of the
Yeah,
two streets.
Oh, yeah.
so this is 1.3 acres. There is a dam, the Bald Pond Dam and spillway that cuts right through the middle of this too.
Where that X is, the blue X maybe?
No, that's a water valve.
Gate valve.
You can see a
Oh,
brown
yeah.
dash cutting through the word street in East Main Street. That's where the water flows under the dam, and then the spillway basically goes from there behind house number 10 and towards, then that hopefully goes to Grove Pond.
That seems problematic.
Pretty inaccessible.
Yeah, its size is already an issue.
Okay. I'm okay to eliminate that, if everyone says.
Parcel 3487, so we're close to the rotary again, this time off of Barnum Road, 2.3 acres.
So is this is not the community garden, this is area to the right of,
Correct, you can see the community garden on here, yeah, so this area, this is a separate parcel.
And do we know how much of that is wetlands it looks like? I've been on it.
Don't know right off the top of my head.
Looks like water.
If you take the total of 2.3 and then you carve out the lower left, which has got a little woodland on it, you might end up with, 3/4 of an acre, something like that, down in this section.
Yeah.
I thought this might be protected. I thought this might be 97
It might be, I don't know,
for the water.
looking from here, I don't know, I know definitely where the water department is, but I don't know if this one. But,
I don't know, we could keep it.
yeah, I think you gotta keep it for now and further,
Keep it.
and then eliminate it
okay,
for a little review. All right, next up. 34-137, this is water department land, it's Article 97. That should be eliminated.
okay.
35-189 and 35-190. All right. Small, say anything.
Wow.
It's a phone booth, I mean.
That is, yeah, that, wonder how that came to be.
How tall can we build? One room on each floor and they got 800 floors.
What street is that, Adam?
That's on Copeland Drive, so you're up Littleton Road, that's CPF number 11, so that's the Pepsi
Oh,
plant.
that little corner.
Lazy Mary's is right up here, number 30, yeah, it's the corner of Lazy Mary's, there.
Oh,
Yeah. And then also the Old Town Village,
Is that Lazy Mary right on the corner where that 35-189 is?
yeah,
Wow, should be getting paid.
yeah.
Should be leasing that.
Yeah, that's strange.
Wow, that's strange. Must have had to do with the street taking or something, or widening years ago, never put in utility.
Yeah.
It was all
I don't know.
town land down there.
Okay, so that's still, and
Okay, 36-27, 3711, and 3726. These are all near the Bennett's Brook neighborhood off of Littleton Road, across from Pingree Hill subdivision.
37-11. May have some promise.
Yeah, I agree. I think we should explore that one.
It's 11.
it's too big, right?
Yeah, that's 2A, yep, Littleton Road.
That's gonna be conservation for that subdivision, I'm pretty sure, but we can look at it. I think it's part of the Venice Brook subdivision Concom,
It probably is, yeah, I don't know for sure though.
And what about 3726? Thinking that,
same thing, I think might be the same thing, but the subdivision probably carved out some Concom, some conservation, but we'll look at it.
Yeah, keep 3726.
It's a rough spot to look at.
3627. It's small and mostly wetlands. And the last one, 36-218, this is adjacent to the dog park on Snake Hill Road, between Littleton Road and Sandy Pond Road. Doesn't show it on here, but I'm pretty sure this is conservation as well, but without knowing that for sure.
I think we might as well confirm.
Yeah,
Right.
but keep it confirmed.
It's right on the tracks and it's all, most of you, but let's check it out.
So I have 11 properties left on this list.
Let's see. Same. Same.
So what are the things that the committee in particular would like to see about these 11 properties for the next meeting?
So I think what would be helpful now that we've narrowed it to 11, maybe next time we can see on a map the actual topography. So we can rule out by picture if it's just, not feasible to use based on that.
Also, I'm sorry, Madam Chair, also check with Conservation Commission or whatever restrictions may pre-exist on each of those 11. They would have the definitive list,
Yeah, they should have list of their conservation restriction properties, so we can check that. We can confirm any, restrictions like that, these restrictions on these properties.
and for those that are, partial wetlands, or we think there are some wetlands there, the actual buildable size, like, of each of those properties, how much of the property is wetland?
So measure out the non-wetland portion.
Should we call it the non-wetland portion or the buildable portion? Because you have to be a certain distance from the wetlands before you can start putting footprints.
The
Building in,
buildable portion would probably be better.
Better than just the non-wetlands.
You'll be subject to the buffers.
Right, so you'd be subject to all the buffers and all of, so we might as well, if we're gonna do it, just. What can we build on it as opposed to this is what's here, and then we get all incited and go, oh, well, now we lose another half an acre because of all of the buffer zones.
Right.
Yeah, I agree.
Can you take us through the 11, just so, person like myself, who might have missed it?
Oh, yes,
Can check.
okay. So I have 12-59, 0 Rear Victor Drive. I have 1924, 0 Park Street. 20-1, 115 Washington Street. 2523, 0 McPherson Road. 2610, 25 Brook Street. 2740, which is 0 Cambridge Street. 3242, 0 West Main Street. 3487, 0 Barnum Road. 36218, which is 0 Snake Hill Road. 3711, 0 Bennett's Crossing. And 3726, 28 Pingree Way. I think it's a good list, and I anticipate some additional off this list, maybe many off these lists will fall off the list again at our next meeting due to these other restrictions, but we just want to thoroughly vet them. All right. Let's see, any other questions for Dan related to the parcels we discussed today?
No, thank you. Thank you so much for all the hard work.
Matt gets all the credit.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Matt.
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 All right, so that brings us to item number 4, an update on secured grant funding, and we have Alan Minoyan from the Office of Economic and Community Development here. Come on up, join us.
You just like to think.
Those are for APAC, so they don't let you.
Oh.
Yeah.
Never met a microphone you didn't like.
Yeah, the camera. Okay, thank you. And yes, through you, Madam Chair, the Ayer Office of Community Economic Development is here to report some good news, favorable news. Last June, we identified a grant opportunity last spring, and this one we were still looking, at various other sites. But we pursued a housing choice grant. And this is issued through the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities, former DHCD. We submitted, formulated and wrote up a $300,000 grant request. It's a competitive grant. And we're very pleased to report to the committee. We heard back in October when they announced the awards of who was awarded the grant, and Town of Ayer was in fact awarded a $300,000 grant for this project and process. What that grant would fund through the contractual agreement, you know, of the grant and getting it, it would be there to fund preliminary site planning, preliminary engineering and design, and preliminary cost estimation for construction costs. When I submitted that grant, we had a prospective site at Peroni Park. That good, and I followed up with the department, letting them know halfway through that we no longer have an actual site. And I really thought they were gonna pull, I was even, if remember, I was saying to them, I think we probably need to withdraw because we don't have this site and all. And I'll tell you, they responded, they looked at everything again, they said, are you still in the process of, you know, trying to select the site and going forward to price? I said, we surely are as a community, we're going forward. And they said, go for it, let the team, they reviewed it and they said, you got it. These funds contractually can be used up until June of 2025. I think this group's gonna make something happen before then, it seems to me. And so I'm pleased to report we have delivered and provided $300,000.
Congratulations.
Yeah, money's always good, everyone, that's always, yeah.
And that goes in addition to
Yes,
the $60,000 of
correct.
ARPA funds
That's right.
authorized by the select board
Yes.
also for this project. So we
Yes.
have a total of $360,000 to do all of the work that
That's the start.
Al just laid out
And
there.
the state is very favorable. And the good part about this is now, once you start in that process with them to get the grant, look, what they're saying is we support the project that you're trying to accomplish in the end. You know, this is what my department does. We have strong relationships with them. And what they're saying is, great, go through this. And when you're done with your planning and all of that phase, come back. And that's when we pursue the $3 million for CDBG. What they're saying is we're opening the door. We want to see this project happen in there. So start off and you're in the pipeline now and the grants are there for you to go through. So this is good.
Yeah, or Dennis?
Madam Chair, Alan, is used by 625, does that mean it has to be spent or
Yes.
contractually obligated, or do we know, or?
It has to be contractually obligated, but I'll tell you, by the end of the fiscal year, once you get into, you know, July, they want to see you close the grant out. Everything has to be invoiced. Basically, you have to have your invoices in for the work that was complete. So really, it's.
So if we were to enter into a contract in, let's say, November of 2024 for an architectural firm to do XYZ,
Yes.
if some of that work was remaining, but we had obligated the remaining money for those 7 months.
All the work I'll say, so I'm sorry, by June of 2025. All the work that's, you know, invoice work, meaning the work is completed. The work has been completed and we have received the invoices. So, yeah,
Okay.
and this is a good motivation. That's why it's good when you get, it does it all the time. It forces that schedule. It's like, we got to deliver and make it happen now. And it's a good kind of, you know, it makes you say, all right, we're going to hit that mark. We're going to hit that deadline and we are going to get these funds out. But again, this is just for the preliminary design and engineering cost estimation. You folks will be, at that point, absolutely.
Yeah, I just wanted to announce, so these grants came out with another set of state grants. It was actually pretty confusing how the state laid it out. So we'll be announcing it officially Monday. We wanted to let this committee know first, since it's your money, basically. So we'll be announcing it, but it just, the timing with the state, they invited us to the wrong ceremony. It was kind of a nightmare. But we have the funding, we're Is ecstatic that we have the funding and we'll be putting it out formally early.
That's right. And they are gonna have a formal ceremony with the governor and vice all, so I would hope, hey, if you should go to that ceremony. And I know it sounds hokey, that's where all the program administrators are, and I'll say, and when they see you there, and for a lot of us, that's when they go, hey, these folks are, let's make sure they get what they need right down the line.
Well, Alan,
Okay.
thank you on
Okay.
behalf of the whole
That's what my
committee. Thank
department
you
is
for the
here
work
for,
that
so,
you
yeah.
have done to support this.
Very, very good. And it's a great project, and that's why you won, because of what you folks did. They saw it, that this is a winter project, so the state said fund it, go.
Great.
Thank you.
So
Yeah,
bravo
thank
to all
you.
of you.
Did
Thank
you have a
you.
question before Alan leaves the table? Yeah, okay.
I'm just a little confused, by the title, housing choice.
Thank you. No, a lot of right. I was sort of confused. Originally, what we submitted this under was a community planning grant, which said to me, well, that makes sense. It's a seniors and community.
Yeah.
And they look, I'm actually right, I remember, that maxed out, the community planning grant, it maxed out at 150,000. They're the ones, they looked at all, and they said, we submitted a pre-application for them, but they're very bullish on Ayer right now. It's like, they're literally saying, what can we do to get you this money? Like, wow, I wish everything was like this. No, they said, we want to put this in housing choice because that maxes out at 300,000. Let's get you the whip. And I said, and Carly said the same thing, like it's housing choice. This is, and they said, that's what we want to attract. We're going to put you in because you can get even more money. And I said, fine. Certainly.
We'll take it. They're offering it.
All right, very good. Okay, oops.
Yeah, so did they give you like a specific scope of work, or we can, for instance, my question is, can we use it for testing? Can we use it for surveying, things like that?
Yes.
So we can use it for
Whatever
ground.
those preliminary.
Anything that's in the
These
preliminary.
investigative due diligence costs. Yes, yes.
So because we're gonna obviously probably do some testing.
Yes. Yep, all this good. So this will be good, at least if we get a site, you can really do diligence and really get a sense. And then you can go forward to town meeting with really hard information and cost estimates, something really solid, the product. That folks can say, all right, I can at least make a decision whether I might want to continue this and fund it or not.
And Carly, not to put you on the spot, but what is the deadline for the spending of the ARPA funds?
That Dan, correct me if I'm wrong, that, it has to be committed by the end of 25.
Committed by the end of 24.
Yeah,
Spent by the end of 25,
Right.
December 31st, 2025.
yeah.
So
So
we should-
as we
spend
spend
first.
the money, we'll obviously spend ARPA
First,
first, and anything that's not covered by the grant. Then the selectmen had authorized a couple of years ago for due diligence from the UDAG account.
Mhm.
So I want to say there's maybe like 16 grand left in there also that we can
Okay.
add to this effort.
Use those first.
Yeah.
And I will add as a final thing, although I shouldn't, because it gives us, it gets you. It's a very common thing to do contract extensions with these grants. So if we're in a place where it's maybe April or May, if they're like, oh, wow, we just needed a couple of months, we'll submit, and they will grant us an extension, the contract, and that's a very common. Thing. Yeah. They're gonna work with us. We got it.
Right.
All right, cool.
So Madam Chair, so just to confirm, Carly, so the back office accounting for which pot the money comes out of
Mhm.
will be dealt with behind the scenes.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll handle all that. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, cool.
good questions. All right, wonderful.
Okay, folks, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Al.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So agenda item number 5 is review of the architect letter proposals and process. And Dan, that's you again. I think everyone should have in their packet. I think it's in the very back of the packet. Yeah,
Oh, I didn't put, if you want those letters up, I can just go to the town website if you need it.
I don't think,
Okay.
unless you want to, but I'll think about it. Yeah, so, okay, so Robert has a memorandum, we're like, okay.
in
So
the back of it.
I'll go back in history, so when the senior center search initially. This kind of goes back before this senior center search initially started. There was money set aside for a feasibility study. And the first step is you send out a request for proposals and you hire an architect. So that was done, that goes through the RFP process, and then an architect was selected, they did the feasibility study. And offered up, there was a few different sites at the time that we looked at. The town did, and then eventually we sort of got to the Peroni Park site through a work group, and now we're here where we're at, but. At the Peroni Park Building Committee, as part of that, right before that dissolved, had started to go out to get assistance from an architect. Good. And so, you know, there's a few ways the town can do it when we're kind of in this conceptual.
Hold on, just a second.
Is it far to the right?
Can you get the packet?
That one right there? No? Yeah, no.
I thought I handed you that, yeah. I printed my stuff and so I don't think I got
It's
it.
the one on the, it's got the agenda on it. We're on.
I brought my own agenda. I printed.
Okay, so it starts with the memo here and then those last couple
I'm
of
sorry.
pages.
Thank you.
It would follow on.
Okay, so as part of the previous, the building committee that was put together for Peroni Park, before it dissolved, it set out a request for proposals to assist with that committee as they looked at the Peroni Park site at the time. And so it's really important to have an architect on board. So, you know, in the initial feasibility study, they helped work with the town to build the program. So they worked with, especially the Council on Aging, to know the needs. So you build the program, then you know what rooms you need in the building, how big the building is going to be, the sizing. And so with that programming we've outlined in the past, the architect was going to look at the Peroni Park site and try to develop plans to show here's where the building potentially could be, et cetera, et cetera. So as this committee goes forward with the site selection, we're going to need the assistance of an architect. Matt and I can put together GIS plans. We can outline certain areas of wetlands, but once we get to the point where we're going to be, hey, this site looks pretty good, let's put a building on it and see what it looks like, and parking, et cetera, et cetera. You really need the professionals who do this day to day. So the most common, the way I would recommend to search for a consultant would be through a request for proposal process. So then you can see what different qualifications, what different types of projects, what that these firms have worked on, and find one that fits best with the town of Ayer's needs as a part of this process. So we did one before, it didn't go anywhere because the committee dissolved. So I mean, I think the DPW, if the committee's in agreement, could put together an RFP, a letter RFP, to be able to submit out to firms to be able to assist this committee in its process as it goes to the site start, as it looks at the various sites. Some of the scope, I was thinking of it today, we want the architects to review the past work that's been done. We would likely want them to be attending most meetings, if not all, as support. I guess it depends. Right now, we're pretty early stages, so right now we probably don't need their help, but as we get further along, we will. And then also kind of to review the programming and the size of the building and make sure we've got all that in order. So that's kind of a little overview on the request for proposal item that we're talking about on the agenda here. I don't know if there's any thoughts or questions. So because this is preliminary work, it's not subject yet. I don't even know how to discuss this, but as we got further along and there was an actual building to be built, there is a process to hire a designer, but right now we're just in the preliminary concept stage. So the town, you could go hire any architect you want, but in the town's interest, you should do a request for proposals, in my opinion.
So I think the point of this is we'll see sort of as an example of kind of the at least initial pieces of the ones we got, and full documents are available. But if we're going to if you're suggesting we issue another one for this project specifically, then I guess it doesn't even matter.
I would issue another one because the scope,
right?
It's a different scope where we're at as compared to
Okay.
to the scope that was for this RFP.
Madam Chair, what are the thoughts about when we should, that is, from the time you put out a request for proposal, how long until you would be able to get the responses, vet the responses, and make it, like, if it's 6 weeks, 2 months, 3 months?
Yeah, so you probably want to give about 4 weeks from when you advertise the proposal till you get responses back. And then the committee would want to review those responses. And typically with a proposal, you put together an evaluation matrix. Project approach, did they have a good approach? Their references, are they good or bad? And you score it, and then we meet together as a committee and select the proper firm. So that would probably, so you're talking, you get it back in 4 weeks, then we get the proposal to viewers, and then, yeah.
So I'm just thinking, the timing of when we should make the request for proposals, that is, at what point in the site selection, how far along in the site selection process do we say, for instance, okay, we've kind of narrowed it down to 3 or 4 potential sites that we think might be viable? Is it now time to bring on the architect and have them help us, which is the better choice or which is the more viable choice?
Well, I think that's a strategic decision for this committee is, are you gonna bring on an architect to look at multiple sites? Or are you going to choose a site and then bring on the architect? And I just think that that's just 2 different avenues.
I think, so I think the way we gotta do it is write the scope in a way, so it's almost like an on-call service in a way, because we have those in our, if I need help with some engineering, I need some technical help from one of my engineers, we have an on-call contract with them, and I'm like, oh, shoot, this came up, here's a task, put together a task order to help me with this. I think if we get somebody on now, we can kind of sort of have them on an, as needed basis to come in, because our scope isn't quite clear, we're just trying to find a site. It's not the clearest of scopes like we had back. We're like, okay, let's see what we're gonna do in Brody Park. Here's the RFP.
Right.
Like right now, it's like, well, we're gonna need your help once we get a site, to look at in depth. And let's get your help. And then maybe that doesn't work out. We have to go back to a drawing board and they're not a part of it at that time. That's kind of what I picture happening.
I think the sooner we get the proposal out, the sooner we can find out what they're gonna do for us. Let them come in and tell us when we need them. They're the professionals. So if we get them on site now, the sooner we can talk to them and say, hey, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? As opposed to us trying to tell them what we need. They might have a better idea coming from the outside saying, well, you can do this with that or this.
Yeah, I don't think I think there's enough technical expertise on this board, and certainly with DPW on board, that we don't need to be paying a consultant to help us find a piece of land where we've been searching for years and years and years. I think our money is better spent kind of piggybacking on what Dave said, that, okay, here's like 2 pieces of land, what's the pros and cons to build on each of these? I think that's where we would use like, a consultant in this phase, just on-call task based. Because we've had a consultant help us find land, we didn't find any land. So I just think at this point, what Dan is proposing with the on-call, till we actually narrow it down to 2 to 3 sites, I think that money is better spent elsewhere.
And after so would it be a single proposal, or then once we've narrowed, put out a different RFP for you know what I mean? Or do we want, do we want one RFP that will get us all the way to preliminary site design, preliminary cost estimates? Or do we have a smaller RFP to kind of get us halfway there and then the rest of it?
So I think we want to get through the point of a site selection, right? And then it would convert to the building commission. So I think that would kind of be a separate contract at that time. So we want the on-call service to get us to, hey, here's the site, and here's the concept design, and then from there, we go to these firms will probably, be wanting to get in here because there could be a lot of work that could come out of it. They're doing a good job, right? That's how they work, yeah.
I might say, Madam Chair, there's a real benefit advantage having continuity with the firm you're starting with the council as opposed to with one firm and then shift to another. Because architectural firms see things in very different ways with the principles. So there's a benefit to having one working right.
Yeah, and I think too, if we decide that right now, we might be locking ourselves down and not giving us some flexibility. I think once we have a site with concept plans, then we can really dig into the real design, engineering, hard engineering.
So can you add your hand up and then Dave?
I'm waiting,
Oh, okay.
Madam Chair. Through you to Dan. And I see this just a little bit differently. I think what Dan is, first of all, I believe the one piece we have to put in place is a civil engineering firm as well. So I think we need to go out and first start with just getting hourly rates and the civil engineer, the local civil engineer that we feel comfortable with, who can assess the land in its current stage, because we're gonna need survey, we're gonna need testing, wetland delineation, civil engineering, so we need to get a civil engineer too. But I believe that I think what you're trying to get at is on the architectural side, we might need two proposals. One which would be an hourly rate proposal on call type of thing with a firm that's qualified. Similar to, isn't that what we had with, and I get this wrong, was it Abacus that was working before? That worked on
Yeah, they
the
were-
feasibility study?
Yep.
Abacus, so we had a proposal like that already.
Mhm.
We used some of those funds already and we had some left over.
Mhm.
So if we don't want to continue with Abacus, I guess we'd put them on the list to bid against other people or whatever the case might be, but I think it's a little too early to get a fixed price for the work without the land, but I do think we need to get an hourly rate and a
Yeah.
firm we feel comfortable with to work as a consultant. Well,
I think I would, I'd say, I think at this point, I disagree. I think you just want the architect. Because you don't really want to be doing any physical work on site. You're kind of just using existing information that's available
Yeah.
and maps and site. So that, and the architect would kind of knows the building where that would go, and they can sort of rough in, hey, maybe this is parking. And then if we get to a serious enough point where we start going into a site and doing testing and things like that, then either they or the committee could bring a civil engineer in to.
I just don't want the
Jump
civil
on
engineer
board.
to be forgotten.
Yeah, you are, right. It is
So-
important because it's a whole site, there is site design, yeah.
Because we're gonna need someone to design it.
Okay.
But if you don't mind, the way I look at it is that I'd be happy to let DPW upgrade this RFP that we used before, if you think that's the simplest way to get to where we want to be. Then we can decide at another meeting, when we agree on the RFP, that when we want to issue it. But we got through the process of creating a language of the RFP, I guess, and the actual, and then we simply decide at another meeting, we're gonna issue it in a week, or we're gonna issue it in 2 months, or whatever the case might be.
I think that's an excellent action. I didn't mean to leave your comment out, but it's
I just wanted to double down honestly what Alan said, so I've also been a part of multiple municipal projects, and coincidentally, one of the companies that's in this packet started off with our project. We actually moved away from that company. So we had to start over with a new company, and the consistency really affected the project. Because, if we start from the starting point with one firm and they see us all the way through the preliminary, they're familiar with the program, they're familiar with the land, they're familiar with our town's goals. Going from one company to another at various points of the project was really detrimental to the project. So I think it's really important that once the RFP goes out, our goal should be hopefully that they're on retainer at the start, and then they evolve into providing the, schematics and everything else as the process plays itself out. So that's just my feedback, just based on my experience of doing projects similar to this.
So, Madam Chair, so as part of the initial RFP, should we ask for something like an architectural firm with a solid civil engineering background, or some, just make them feel like we're not at the point of designing, talking about moon size yet. We want you to understand the issues with the lot size, lot shape.
Yeah, I mean, we can include that in the quals in the RFP in the qualifications section where we list in the RFP that, desired civil engineering. But, a larger firm might have multiple disciplines like architecture and civil engineering. So you might just get a lot of those, but the smaller ones would work with a separate, consultant, civil engineer, someone totally separate. We could keep it in team right there. Yeah.
So I like the idea of readying the RFP and then I mean, who knows how quickly this discussion of the 11 that we've narrowed it to will go. So, but then it would be ready whenever
Yeah,
we're getting close.
so I'd like to, I could put this together and then maybe work and check with some other towns, make sure it looks good and then bring it back to the.
Okay.
But that is too, and I mean, the hope is that one of the 11 or 2 or 3 of the 11 may become viable alternatives. But there's also the potential that none of the 11 will be
Right.
truly viable, or only one of the 11 will be, and you might need 2 or 3 that aren't town owned. You know, to kind of evaluate more.
Yeah, agreed. I like the idea of layering the tasks, having more things going at the same time. So, do we need a motion for that, or just that can be a work task, right? Doesn't need a formal motion, I don't think. No.
I don't think so.
Okay, all right. So, in terms of timing, because I'm a big fan of scheduling next meetings when it makes sense, when there's an update. So in terms of a timeline, what are you thinking for that? I know that the weeks are getting shorter very soon.
Couple of days.
Times 6, not. Can we go after the holiday? It'd be good to.
January 1st of this.
Yes. Because we got the budgets and we got a lot going on right now. So yeah, I would say early January, have it ready.
You said that last time and.
Hey, I gotta set expectations out here. No, yeah, no, Matt did a great job. I didn't think he would, but yeah.
All right, okay, that seems realistic. So, all right, of course, that doesn't prohibit us from meeting another time if we want to go over these 11 properties, but I think that's a,
So do we set a date or no?
no, we're not there yet. I was just asking for the sake of the discussion. All right. So, all right, so thank you, Daniel. We'll be excited to see the draft RFP for the next time.
Yeah,
So anything else on the architect letter proposals? No? Okay, great. So, and the next item is an update and discussion on public outreach. At our last meeting, we had discussed obviously the need for public outreach. There's a little bit of discussion about social media. If I reflect back on it, I think the consensus was that for now, we post meeting highlights to the town's Facebook page and that we begin to develop a plan for public outreach. We just had a lot on the agenda last time. Does anyone want to add anything to that or table it for the next discussion, next meeting?
So, am I correct in saying that there was some thought being given to having a separate Facebook page for this particular group?
Right.
And it was unclear as to whether or not that would be wise or prudent or necessary or appropriate or.
Yeah, that discussion got really detailed and I think it was a Facebook page and not a Facebook group. And I think we got way into in the weeds on that. But I think the idea was that we could use social media to reach a broader set of people than those that are actively going out and trying to get information off the website. But
Yeah, and Katie, if I could, we discussed it and having a separate page we have found, it just sometimes, most often, it doesn't get updated as timely. We
Right.
were thinking of using the Town of Ayer official page.
Mhm.
We certainly heard feedback that there was not enough communication last time. And then, rumor mill gets started on the other pages. So we'd like to keep any posts relative to this committee on the official town page.
makes sense.
It makes sense to us from our perspective. Cindy and I, and Robert have controlled the posting and, I think it just streamlines the process.
I think that makes a lot of sense. In terms of other public outreach, I mean, there's a lot of opportunities as we get going, as this process starts rolling. Obviously, all of the meetings like today are posted online, they're posted on social media, they're advertised, for example, in the senior center newsletter. whenever I have the notice to get it in the newsletter, posted in the senior center as well. As we go on in the process, we'll need to do public forums. I think the question remained from last time whether or not we would engage the potential architectural firm to help with surveying or public outreach, or whether it would be something we would be spearheading. But it seems like at this stage, it's meetings and meeting attendance. So does anyone have anything to add to that at this stage? No. Okay. All right, great. I think that brings us to public input. I don't see any hands up online. Is there anyone here? There's for public input now.
Polly.
Oh, Pauline, yep. Curly,
Good evening, Katie. I hope my link is better tonight than it was the last time, and I apologize to everyone if last time I had terrible connections. Can you hear me?
Yes, we
Yeah.
can.
I have a completely new internet gateway, as Verizon calls it. So I only have one comment. The list that Dan and Matt prepared from DPW of all the town-owned properties, why, I don't mean to ask it this way, but why was that not attached to your agenda so everybody out here in Facebook land or Zoom land could have looked at it?
And Carly's in the background saying it will be posted tomorrow.
Yeah, it was a time crunch issue. We just got the information this morning, so it will be posted tomorrow.
Okay, fair enough. And I want to apologize for the difficulties you had a couple meetings ago. I never sent anything because I never really followed up on that meeting. I listened to it today. I'm really, really sorry. I didn't know I had those issues with Facebook and internet, but they've been corrected, so I'll send along what I wanted to send a couple of weeks ago, okay?
Wonderful, thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a good night.
You too. All right, well, I think that's all for public input. So that brings us to scheduling of our next meeting. So from it seems like the next two items are reviewing those 11 parcels in more detail and reviewing a draft RFP. So do we want to aim for the first week or two of January for our next meeting? Does that seem reasonable? Okay. And Carly, you said Wednesday and Thursdays are open in this room?
Depends, I get the schedule here, so.
Okay,
So if I would avoid the first week of January, just because we're closed and the posting deadline for the open meeting law is gonna be insane.
right.
So I would shoot for the week of the 8th. The Board of Health is meeting the 8th at 5:30 in this room. Tuesdays are always out because it's either planning or select board. Wednesday, the 10th looks available at 6 o'clock. And the 11th Conservation Commission meets at 7, so you could do a 6 o'clock with a hard stop, or do 5:30, give yourself a little more time.
So I'm not available on Wednesdays at all. I coach basketball, so.
Okay.
I have a budget meeting that night. So.
Okay, so not, so you got 2 members not available on the 10th.
So Thursday, the 11th at 5:30.
And then it would just be like a hard stop around 6:30, 6:45, because conservation will start right at 7, and they're in this room.
Is that enough time?
I think so.
We make a short agenda.
Yeah, I mean, I think if we limited the agenda to those 2 items.
I think that's gonna be plenty of work for one meeting.
Right, with this, I'm wondering if it should even be 5 o'clock instead of 5:30. But 5. Yeah.
I'll come in later in the meeting. I
Yeah.
won't be able to make it back by 5, but
Okay,
I'll come.
so I think even for that discussion of 11, I think a fair amount of those may come off after so we might not actually be discussing that many of
Right.
them. So, all right, so let's do 5:30 on January 11th here in this room.
Yep.
For everyone, all right. Wonderful. All right, do I have a motion to adjourn?
No, motion to adjourn.
Second. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair says aye.
Happy holidays,
Thank
everybody.
you.